Survival versus bushcraft. Okay, so it seems to me that a lot of people get survival and bushcraft confused. Most people think of survival when actually they're kind of talking a lot about bushcraft. So I want to just explain and clarify the differences between survival and bushcraft. Even though there is a lot of overlaps, and you'll probably see that in the next minute or two, but they are actually quite different in their fundamentals. So yeah, let's get to it. So survival. Survival means something's gone wrong. And it's normally classified as like 72 hours is kind of the average survival situation, or the longest survival situation normally. But essentially something's gone wrong for you to be in that position. Maybe you got lost, maybe you fell over and you rolled an ankle or broke your leg, or something happened, the weather changed drastically and you got caught out in a storm and you couldn't get home. That kind of thing is we class as survival. You're surviving on the equipment that you're carrying and what you went into that place with an intention of doing something else. So I'm carrying pretty much what a hiker would carry. I'm wearing like fast drying lightweight clothing and sort of lightweight warm layers, and kind of a pack, an average day pack that you'd be carrying on a good long hike. But then of course something happens and you end up stranded out in the bush, with the main emphasis of trying to get out of that situation as fast as possible, to return to civilization as quickly as you can. Now, bushcraft is kind of the opposite, in that you're intentionally going into the bush and you're trying to live off the bush. But having good bushcraft skills and knowledge makes a survival situation generally a lot easier, in that the equipment that you're carrying can be utilized better. So maybe you have a small pocket knife. Oh, okay, that means I can maybe make a bigger fire, or I can build something, or I can sort of make a bed for me to lie on, or something like that. Even if you don't have a sleeping pad with you, you could do those kind of things to help your survival situation. So in that way, bushcraft knowledge helps survival situations, but the two are quite separate. Survival is very much more of something's gone wrong. It's normally the first 72 hours before getting help or getting back to civilization. And you're relying very heavily on the equipment that you have with you and less of the resources around you. So that is what I would class as survival. Okay, now bushcraft. So, bushcraft. So, bushcraft's a bit different to survival, as you can see. Now, with bushcraft, you're more concerned with actually intentionally going into the bush with some equipment that you're going to need, and then you're going to try to live off the resources of the land. Whether that is foraging for food, trapping, or hunting, or whether you're just building a shelter for a night and you're going to sleep by a fire. So because of that, the things that you might be wearing and the things you might carry are going to be quite different. So with bushcraft, you're looking to stay in the bush and actually work there. So you're going to be chopping down trees, hence the axe, for firewood, for warmth, or maybe for building your shelter. Maybe you're trapping, and so you need to fabricate your traps with your knife, and I've got like a pruning saw. So you build your traps, and then with your traps you get the meat for you to feed, but then you also manage to tan the hides and then use the fur for, I don't know, maybe a pillow or a bag, or you get enough of them to make a coat. but also you're looking for wild foods. So in the bushcraft world, there's kind of a saying, sort of basically the knowledge is lighter than tools and equipment. The more you know, the less you need to carry. So with that, you pick your tools and clothing to sort of match what you need. So I can do a lot with an axe. I can build a shelter, I can keep warm, I can light a fire, and I can make traps with this. So I carry one piece of equipment rather than carrying man-made traps, a tent, a sleeping bag, a pad, etc. So the emphasis is quite different. And also the clothing that I'm wearing, it's rugged. It's got to stand up to that work. So I'm wearing a heavy wool top. My trousers as well are kind of waxed canvas, linen. So they're kind of semi-waterproof as well when you're walking through wet, brushy woods. So yeah, so those are a few of the differences with bushcraft and survival. So let's go over a couple of bushcraft kind of equipment and tools that you might likely be carrying if you're going out for a couple of days to do some bushcraft. First aid kit, everyone should be carrying a first aid kit, whether it's bushcrafter or a hiker or whatever. You should always have at least a personal first aid kit. And then we've got the knife, the saw and an axe, a pot to boil water for purification, also a metal water bottle. This is good because if you're in cold weather, you can also, the water can freeze, but also you can boil water in this or heat it up and make a hot water bottle for yourself that you can shove in your clothing to help keep you warm. So we've got that, and then woolly hat, and again a waxed canvas anorak to keep out the rain. Now, in terms of warmth and things, we've got fire lighting. So here we've got literally some flint and steel with some amadou, tinder, and then we've got a ferrous rod that we can use with the knife. And these will start as a fire, and if you're keen on bushcraft, these can be pretty reliable ways of getting a fire going in all weather. So yeah, this would be a typical bushcraft kind of kit to go and spend a couple of days out in the woods. Okay, so here we've got equipment that a typical hiker or day pack trip would look like. So obviously we've got waterproofs, and again, anyone well prepared should be carrying a personal first aid kit. In here we have a down jacket. A down jacket in case the weather turns bad or they end up spending the night out. And a bladder for water instead of a water bottle. And then we've got a few emergency things, so a torch, a flashlight if you get stuck outside, water purification tabs so that you can purify some water and make sure it's good to drink. And then a couple of things, we've got some storm matches and a lighter with some duct tape for blisters, a small pocket knife for a few bits and pieces, I don't know, in case you keep yourself entertained whittling a spoon or something if you get overnighted, and then like an emergency bivvy which can keep you dry and keep you warm overnight. So this would be what you would be living on a survival situation versus a bushcraft situation. So now you've seen what bushcraft and survival look like, and you've kind of got a better understanding of the differences between the two. So hopefully that's cleared things up for a few. Thanks.